Hello and welcome to another episode of Moose's Gear Goo Review. I'm Moose, and today we got another knife review. And this one I've had for a really long time. I always have some of these knives for a really long time, and I forget to take them out and show them off. But this is the... Oh my goodness, that snap is beautiful. This is the Kershaw Vedder. The Kershaw Vedder. And this knife is way too cool for me. Yeah, Kershaw Vedder. A lot of good things going on with this knife. Not many gripes or dings on it for me personally, but we'll get into that. So the overall length is 7.5 inches. The blade length is 3¼ inches. The blade thickness is 0.11 inches thick. The handle length is 4.25 inches long. The handle thickness is 0.55 inches thick, and the overall weight is 4.57 ounces, so 4.5 ounces more or less. And yeah, so let's get into this. So first off, this thing just looks wicked from the get-go. It's very aesthetically pleasing to me personally. There's a lot of different textures and angles and shapes going on with this knife that really make it look cool. So speaking about the blade, first off, we got this kind of unique angled Warncliffe style blade. They're kind of calling it. We have a couple different like up sweeps here, and then another flat angle here, and then another angle there. So almost like a reverse Tonto type of knife. I don't even know how to describe that shape, but I guess Warncliffe is the best way to do it. It does have an ever so slight curve throughout the blade, not necessarily giving it a specific amount of belly in any one spot, but it's just a general consistent curve, plain edge. I don't know if you'd call this a flat grind, because it grinds all the way up. Either flat grind or a hybrid flat grind, saber grind. There's that swedge part up here, and other than that, it feels very slicey, mostly because the tang isn't that thick. But yeah, it definitely feels like an excellent slicer. There is jimping up top here, very mild, but sharp enough to really lock in. It's more of a finer jimping, but it works really well. There is a choil for sharpening, and then there's a couple of interesting cutouts in the tang of the blade, mostly for looks. So you have kind of that peek through there, and then in the finger guard flipper, you have that. There are no thumb studs, so there's that hole again. And it is a designated flipper, so then once again you get these kind of silhouetted cutouts there that kind of make it pop. So pretty cool. And it is one of Kershaw's speed safe assisted opening knives. It says they're right under the Kershaw there, speed safe. But this one, out of all the speed safe knives I've had over the years, God, this one just kicks. I'm not kidding you. This thing, it kicks like a ProTech auto, or like a Kalashnikov auto. It just flies open, and part of that is it does have bronze phosphorus washers in there to really give it a good smooth action, which is a nice touch. Also, the blade and the frame or the handle scales are a kind of gray powder coat. So it kind of carries through, looks all right. But the coolest part, I think, is in the handle. So then moving into the handle, we have some very cool stylized handle scales. Once again, with some different angles here that make it kind of sharp. And then there's some like divots and swerves. But the other cool thing is that the handle scales are actually textured with divoting. And then they have a G10 overlay that carries through with that divoting and adds grip and texture. And then they have a small window cut out to see the Kershaw branding there. But it feels really good. It feels very, not overly grippy, but the texture does add grip, and it feels really, really good, and it just looks cool. Reminds me a bit of the CRKT Fossil type handles. Going on to the flip side, you have a really nice Kershaw deep carry fold over pocket clip. I really like this design. It keeps it low, almost keeping the whole butt of the knife in the pocket, and then the hardware isn't too high up and it's not too shallow, so you should be able to get around your jeans. For me, it slips in and out of pocket really well. It does have this like GFN or glass-filled nylon or FRN back spacer that is also the lanyard slot, which is pretty nice, and it's a 2/3 or a third flow opening. There is no milling on the inside to reduce weight, and that's kind of why it is a heavier knife. And that's pretty much my only ding on the knife, is the fact that it weighs over 4.5 ounces. You know, it's a little heavier than I'd like to carry, but it is a full-size, larger knife. But if they could somehow reduce the weight or make a version with titanium, and if there is a titanium version, that'd be super cool. Blade steel, HCR 13 MOV, pretty standard. But for this knife, like with all the aesthetics and the way it functions and the fit and finish on this, is more than justifiable for the price. And the price is a little bit steeper for most Kershaws that have these materials, but the way in which they stylized it and designed it, I think it's justifiable. And the price for the Vedder is, God, it kicks, around $40 at the time of this video. So I'll leave links in the description below that you can check out up-to-date pricing. But yeah, super cool knife. So let's compare it. We have the Bear's Edge. I forgot what this one's called, but I should do a review of it. Had it for a while. We have Kershaw Skyline, and we'll throw in a Delica, and why not the HVOS. So as you can see, size-wise, it's pretty big, but still comparable to like the HVOS. It's about 3¼ inches there. But it's definitely the longest blade out of all of these, except for maybe the HVOS. HVOS is pretty big. So, yeah, there you have it. Handle-wise, it's a little bit shorter, but comparable to the Delica and the Skyline. So, comparing the thickness, once again, fairly thin blade stock, which probably helps it fly out even more, and definitely makes it super slicey. Slightly larger than the Skyline. Handle-wise, it's bigger. Bear's Edge. Bear's Edge knife is thicker. Handle-wise, it's about the same. Slightly larger blade thickness than the Delica, and handle-wise, it is thicker. And the HVOS. HVOS is thicker in pretty much both ways. So these two are very comparable. Two very different looking knives, more basic and overall consistent. This one's much more stylized. Both of these are really cool knives though. Alright. And then finally onto the ugly brown glove test. It is a frame lock. Deploying it, there's jimping on the flipper. Can find it. God, it just whips out. Grip wise, the texturing, you know, it works well. It functions well. It's divoted. It's not super grippy by any means. It's a little bit slightly polished G10, but because the divoting and the jimping and stuff, it definitely locks it in. As far as the jimping up top, that locks in really well on the cloth there. I do kind of wish there was jimping on this little up sweep here if you want your thumb back farther here. Otherwise you do have to kind of reach up a little to get on that jimping. But other than that, really no gripes other than the weight. I mean, deployment's good. Locking, unlocking works, so definitely passes. I'll give this one an A minus. So there you have it, guys. This is the Vedder. Super cool offerings from Kershaw. It's been out for a while. It is one of the more pricier ones for these materials, but the stylization, the flipping action, the assisted flipping action is just bonkers. Really cool, larger folder that just looks great and feels solid. The fit and finish on this is by far the best Kershaw fit and finish I've had, especially on their lower budget end line. So definitely recommend it. There you have it, Kershaw Vedder. So check out these other videos. Remember, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Be sure to comment down below what you think of this, or if there's another Kershaw you'd like me to check out. Check out the eye in the upper right hand corner if I put anything up there. Other than that, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you outside. Thank you.